reasons that anyone goes into politics. The general voting public can't tell one type of politician from the other, and so I want to simplify it. We do have light beer drinkers, and they need a simplification. Why does anyone go into politics? Is it to serve the people as intended? Or is it to join the crime syndicate, make a killing, get rich, become famous right in first class, spend the people's hard-earned money, have sex with children, and have a lavish lifestyle? Sin wins most of the time. In the case of Congress, they voted themselves a salary that's 4 times that of a benevolent teacher, and in addition, they have an expense account that's 20 times their lavish salary, often used to pay for hookers. Congress has a terrible reputation, and it's getting worse by the day. Most of them are not up there for we the people. They are pursuing self-interests. Change is coming because it's so bad that it has to change, dramatically. And we are all waiting for a leader who will make the necessary changes. Look at the lot of politicians. Has this group ever told the truth about anything? In general, they lie through their teeth. When they get caught lying, they tell you more lies. They flood you in a sea of lies. And the people never seem to learn that having representatives is a bad idea. So-called leaders are not. They are anything but. I'm talking about 95% of them. There is another group, much smaller. One group is there for selfish purposes, and the other is there to do some good for society. Would you say that 95% of those in Congress are lining their pockets with cash? People like Dianne Feinstein are this type, in my opinion. She channeled deals to her husband, and they made some $200 million. This is obscene. It's corrupt. Dianne Feinstein is the one who wanted to outlaw free speech and make you get a license to speak out. It's her kind of corruption that provides reason for people to speak out, and the voters in California just keep re-electing this bitch. Why can't they see her for what she is? Is it too complicated? Politics is simple. The vast majority in government are service to self, and the tiny minority are in service to others. Trey Gowdy is a dedicated, altruistic, well-educated knight in shining armor to me. He's there for us, and anyone can see it. One type of politician makes this a better world, and the other is cancerous, like a big wart on your nose. Feinstein is cancer. Greed has overcome this dirty bitch, and the people need Dianne Feinstein like they need a finger up their ass at the airport when trying to get on a plane. Ron Paul is another do-gooder. The benevolence of Ron Paul was never appreciated, and he was blocked by the powers that be. They own Congress and the puppet president. Ron Paul should have become the president. Instead, the election was rigged, and we got pure evil instead. Ron Paul would not have been a puppet, in my opinion. I think 90% of the people want a constitutional president who respects the balance of power and keeps their oath to defend the U.S. Constitution against all predators, foreign and domestic. The really great leaders are devoted to fairness, equality, and freedom. The rest are self-serving despots who are taking our country down the wrong road, the road to ruination. The Council on Foreign Relations has a lot of control over our government. Most people are completely unaware of this evil, one-world government organization, even though many in government are members of the CFR, including nearly all of the biggest names in politics. The CFR has no business in our government, and it's treasonous for them to be there. This is a self-serving organization that is rapidly taking us toward a totalitarian, authoritarian, demonic, evil one-world government. The people have rejected this kind of dictatorship, but they have not awakened to the presence and infiltration of the CFR. At least 90% of the population does not know the evils that I just described or the existence of the CFR in our government. I'd guess that 99% of the people don't know a single politician who is a member of the CFR, and if you are one who is aware, you have a duty to inform others by calling out the name and the CFR membership of that dirty politician and traitor. You would have to go way back to find a Secretary of State who was not a CFR member, maybe as far back as the 1940s. As soon as the CFR was formed, They moved one of their own into the White House to live with Woodrow Wilson. I think the year was 1921. They have been gradually infiltrating government ever since, and today much of the government are members of the CFR, and as I said, virtually nobody knows who they are. It is a well-kept secret, especially when CFR members do not allow their names on the public list, because they know that the citizens who are in the know would not approve. And it might be a problem when a traitor serving CFR goals of a one-world government is in our own government. There is only one reason why politicians would hide their membership. It's because some of us know how evil this organization is, and we might make it known to the public at large if they openly admitted that they are CFR members. I'll give you 3 examples of people who have tried to conceal their CFR membership: Mitt Romney, George Bush, and I think Donald Trump is a CFR member based on things he said about Richard Hawes, president of the CFR, for the past 14 years. Although Trump has not admitted he's a CFR member, when asked who he would appoint to a high government position, he named Richard Hawes president of the CFR. Trumpty Dumpty said he respects the guy. Well, that makes me lose respect for Trumpty Dumpty. If someone said they loved the Communist Party in China, what would you think? Would that make them sort of lean a bit toward communism? Communism works only for the Communist Party in China. It doesn't work for the people who have to live in a communist system where dissenters are shot in the back of the head. You don't talk about freedom in China, you will disappear. They will take your body organs and you'll be killed. Our government is turning the same way. And I can point you in the direction of a well-researched summary of the atrocities that are being committed at this moment all over the world, and that source is George Webb. Look up his series of videos on YouTube. You will be absolutely appalled by what he says, and he uses a storyboard to get his messages across. Many reporters and journalists have been killed to keep this all secret. Michael Hastings is one, and Monica Peterson is another, just to name a couple real quickly. Murder by an oppressive regime, and I'm not talking about China. I'm speaking about the USA. This is now a totalitarian dictatorship, pen in hand, executive order on the desk, ready to be signed. Tyrants in power. Communism and socialism never work for the people. These systems take from those who work hard and earn the wealth, and they redistribute it to those who don't even work. Statesmen, they like to call themselves. Congress, the puppet president, and the mafia that takes all the wealth and is one and the same as government today. Often those in government wind up with most of the money that was confiscated from the people. For this reason, I don't like either system, communist or socialist. Government has no right to take what you earn. That's your money. Taxation is theft. We need more control over what we give up to a bloated, dictatorial, gun-to-your-head government. The worst of all is when government takes what you earned and hands it to a foreign government like Israel. You as an American have no duty to support Israel. We have our own country to support. How did this foreign aid idea come about? Somebody had a distorted role of government. That's how. Would anyone think of taxing those in Israel and sending the money here for Americans to spend? This is a crazy idea, yet Trumpty Dumpty is completely devoted to Israel as if it was one of the United States. We Americans owe Israel nothing. Have you ever heard of the dancing Israelis? They were arrested on 9/11 for behavior that seemed treasonous. After questioning, it was revealed that they were Mossad agents, and so they were released. Their file went classified to cover up the incident to prevent Americans from learning of the Mossad involvement in the 9/11 terrorist attack, which was not done by Muslims. Muslims were blamed to benefit Israel, but nobody talks about this in government. It's a secret. Don't speak out about it, or you might be murdered as Jeff Rentz almost was. The dancing Israelis were cheering when the first plane hit the World Trade Center tower, and this is evidence. It supports the accusation that Mossad was not only involved in the 9/11 terrorist attack, but at the core of the planning and execution of this false flag event, a joint effort of our government and the government of Israel. Now it's time for the truth to come out. All of Congress was involved in the 9/11 attack, and proof is that nobody demanded that Larry Silverstein take the stand before the Senate to answer some of the most obvious questions like, who wired your buildings with explosives, and when did you find out about it so the decision could be made to pull these buildings? Congress has brought many people to the Senate to answer questions, and the absence of this hearing with Silverstein screams conspiracy. But we've all been trained to reject all conspiracies. If you see one conspiracy, then you're likely to see more. And that will unravel the entire government, which is one giant organized crime syndicate. And everything is a racket that they don't want you to see, so they use mind control techniques to direct you away from conspiracies so you never figure it out. It worked. The people speak of conspiracy theorists as crazy people. The phrase is often used, this isn't a conspiracy theory, as if there are no conspiracies. They must deflect you from that conclusion, or it's all over for them, the conspirators. As a result of mind control, nobody today wants to be a conspiracy theorist. But I'm proud to have figured out that there are many conspiracies. And if you look and open your eyes, you can see them everywhere. I am a defiant conspiracy theorist because I know one thing with certainty. As soon as there is money, there is a conspiracy born to get that money. And to me, government is how money is piled up so it can be stolen by organized crime figures who operate in government. To me, organized crime and government are one in the same. Where did I get that idea? I did a 6-video series called Organized Crime in Chicago. And while doing that, I noticed a repeating pattern. The organized crime figures always had influence over government, and they used government to commit crimes, paying off whomever they needed to in order to gain more power and control. At the end of that video series, Organized Crime in Chicago, the most notorious organized crime figures had a convention to blend organized crime into government for the good of the crime syndicate, and they succeeded. You don't hear any more about the Gambino family because the crime syndicate was married to government, and it's now one giant family of co-conspirators. But you can't see it because they have control of your mind. What does government mean? Govern means control, and ment means mental or the mind. Government, therefore, means control of your mind. They own you, and what does that suggest? That you are a slave. You exist to serve them and not the other way around. Service to self types have won. Service to others is a much better system, but for now, the bad guys have won. The world is getting worse and worse. The reputation of Congress is going lower and lower. The Clinton Foundation is involved in trafficking in children, stealing body organs, murder, espionage, crimes of aggression, blackmail, extortion, gold thefts, oil thefts, toppling foreign governments. All the atrocities we have heard about, from the worst of the worst, are being committed now by the Clinton Foundation, dyncorp, and our own State Department. There is a reporter, a journalist named George Webb. He has a YouTube channel, and he knows what's going on in the world. He explains it using a storyboard, so you see the faces and make the connections between those who committed the atrocities and the organizations and locations of the crimes against humanity. George Webb is waiting for the CIA bullet. He knows they're going to kill him, but he forges on, reporting the truth that you will never receive from the mainstream media. Currently, we have a chance to learn what he knows. Some of the videos have been deleted from his computer by the government hackers. The rest will be gone by the same means, so you better hurry over to the YouTube channel and get it while you can. George Webb has done an excellent job in reporting the truth. It is a great advance in journalism to see the George Webb storyboard, The viewer can make all the connections between those who use our government to do the bombing so they can steal the oil, the gold, and the cash. I have just given you a clue as to what's there, but actually it's far, far worse than that. There is theft of hearts, livers, pancreases, irises, kidneys, and children. George Webb tells it all. If you have been kept in the dark, it's time to turn on the light and hear the tale of organized crime in action overseas. The Clinton Foundation is directly involved in the war crimes. HSBC launders the money and was caught twice without anyone being fired or fined. What these evil bastards are doing to little children is nothing short of atrocity. They murder the least marketable child in front of the others to warn them against speaking out or trying to run away. You must watch this series by George Webb. It will enlighten you. That's all for this video. See you next time, and be sure to tell 10 about the George Webb video series so that everyone will be informed. There are two major reasons that anyone goes into politics. The general voting public can't tell one type of politician from the other, and so I want to simplify it. We do have light beer drinkers, and they need a simplification. Why does anyone go into politics? Is it to serve the people as intended? Or is it to join the crime syndicate, make a killing, get rich, become famous right in first class, spend the people's hard-earned money, have sex with children, and have a lavish lifestyle? Sin wins most of the time. In the case of Congress, they voted themselves a salary that's 4 times that of a benevolent teacher, and in addition, they have an expense account that's 20 times their lavish salary, often used to pay for hookers. Congress has a terrible reputation, and it's getting worse by the day. Most of them are not up there for we the people. They are pursuing self-interests. Change is coming because it's so bad that it has to change, dramatically. And we are all waiting for a leader who will make the necessary changes. Look at the lot of politicians. Has this group ever told the truth about anything? In general, they lie through their teeth. When they get caught lying, they tell you more lies. They flood you in a sea of lies. And the people never seem to learn that having representatives is a bad idea. So-called leaders are not. They are anything but. I'm talking about 95% of them. There is another group, much smaller. One group is there for selfish purposes, and the other is there to do some good for society. Would you say that 95% of those in Congress are lining their pockets with cash? People like Dianne Feinstein are this type, in my opinion. She channeled deals to her husband, and they made some $200 million. This is obscene. It's corrupt. Dianne Feinstein is the one who wanted to outlaw free speech and make you get a license to speak out. It's her kind of corruption that provides reason for people to speak out, and the voters in California just keep re-electing this bitch. Why can't they see her for what she is? Is it too complicated?